Hey everyone, my name is Guy and I'm your tinnitus guy. Every couple of weeks, I do this kind of live events where I either answer people's questions about tinnitus life as they join us, literally, or I just answer a bunch of questions that people send me over the week, basically. Um, hey John, if I'm not going to hear from one of the people online. I'm just going to start answering questions that I received from people. Um, One of the most common questions, actually, before I jump to that, I just want to say that I would include a link to my YouTube channel and my community, which I will quickly show you guys here. Um, so if I show my screen, this is my YouTube channel. You can see stories of real people that I've worked with and have made huge progress with tinnitus. But the channel is Your Tinnitus Guy, and I will include this in the link. The community is a very small community of tinnitus sufferers, and we only have, 100 of people right now. Everybody is supporting each other. I post a lot of educational information, and people ask questions. It's very interactive, so it's very interesting. So you have either the community or the YouTube channel that you can follow and ask me questions that way as well. So I'm going to jump into the first question that I received. And as expected, one of the most common questions I get asked about all the time is stress and sleep, and how do they affect tinnitus and how do they affect us as people. Um, so there's two aspects. Stress and sleep are directly impacting your brain, and therefore they increase the perception of tinnitus. That means that if your tinnitus is, subjectively from 1 to 10, let's say that my tinnitus is typically at a 5. If I now, if I didn't sleep for a couple of days, I didn't sleep well, if I'm stressed for other things or because of the tinnitus symptoms, the perception of tinnitus is going to go to 7 or 8 or even more than that, depending on how much stress I'm experiencing. So what I'm trying to say here is that tinnitus can stay at the same level, but the way that you perceive it becomes much louder. So this is one of the most common problem with stress and sleep. The other question that the person was asking me um, is how does that affect me long term? And this is a more complicated question. The answer is when stress and sleep are causing your brain to be hyperactive and the hormones that your body release while it's stressed are causing damage. So it's either by stressing the brain and making it tired and overworked. And if you go like that for a long time, regardless of tinnitus, so this is not tinnitus doing that. It's the stress and how your body respond to it. And lack of sleep is the same thing. It if you go like if you in that situation for a long time, your body and your brain will start accumulating damage. It's just the way it is, and it's not tinnitus doing that. Now, tinnitus may have triggered your stress, and that's why it's really important to treat tinnitus to make sure that you don't go through this long-term stressful period. So to summarize, if your stress and lack of sleep is caused by tinnitus, definitely treating tinnitus and making it less impactful on you will reduce the stress, which will prevent long-term damage. But if your stress and lack of sleep is for other reasons, then tinnitus has nothing to do with that. I hope I answered that question pretty clearly. Let me just ask, there's two people on the call now, so if any of you want to ask questions, just come off of mute for a second and ask the question. It will be great to see you guys, but it's up to you. And let me just get the captions going here.
Hi, Guy. How are you? It's Patricia.
Hey, Patricia. Very
Yes,
good. Thank you.
I'm in my car, but I'm parked, so I'm okay. Um, can I ask a question? Because you just said if we could, unmute and ask a question.
Of course, you're more than welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, I came when just a couple of minutes after, I guess that question was asked about stress. Um, I am, I guess, like the other person, going through a lot of stress, which has been chronic for a long time, which has been made worse recently by a situation with my an adult son. So yesterday I had a really loud. It was just a spike that was very upsetting, and I'm still having some of it. It's a little bit better today, but it's still there. I'm having trouble with when that happens. That there's a spike because of I don't know. I'm also taking care for a few days of my mother who's about to be 100. So that's a very difficult thing to do, to take care of an older person. It's very physical,
Yes.
and that kind of thing. So I have a lot of stress, and I'm trying to I put in practice what we talked about the other day, and thinking about something positive, something that I like when I open my eyes and there is a sound. I wasn't very successful, and
Yeah.
uh, I'm like in that, like trying to put the things into practice. But at this point, because there's so much going on, I can't seem to be able to stick to it, you know.
It takes time.
Okay.
So the first thing I would try to do, which we also talked about, is just incorporate really simple relaxation techniques into your routine. So like in the morning, take 5 to 10 minutes and listen to calming, gentle sounds that of your choice, and then do some simple relaxation techniques. If you start doing it on daily basis, like once or twice per day, after a few days, I think your alertness will reduce and your stress will reduce, and then maybe incorporating other techniques will be more um, easier. It will just be easier. But I will tell you something about. You already heard this from me. But um, everything that we do with tinnitus, it's training. We are training the brain. We are actually doing everything that we do is trying to train the brain to do different things that it's not used to. It's been latching to tinnitus for months or years, depending on the person, or even weeks, and it's listening to that sound, even though it's generating it. It's kind of really paying attention to this sound. So now we are coming in with relaxation techniques and with different CBT techniques and trying to say to the brain, hey, relax and pay attention to other stuff. It takes time. The brain is not going to change like that. It takes, a week or two, maybe even three in some cases, to um, to to start changing how your brain reacts to the sound. So if you just started and you're trying to implement stuff and it's the first few days and it's not working for you, just be patient. I promise it will work. It just takes repetition. The example I give to, I think, everybody is learning a new language. Think that you're trying to learn a new language you're not going to be able to speak to anyone for at least a week or two. And even then, you start speaking like small talk until you are able to speak more fluently, right? It's really the same. It's like you're training a brain to do stuff that it doesn't know how to do it. So it takes time to practice. It's really the same thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. And a trick that, we talked about where you wake up and you imagine a place or situation that you really like a vacation spot or an activity that you like, is a really good way to start the day. Even if it doesn't work for the first few days, it's gonna start working. And it just, instead of waking up and focusing right on tinnitus and all that sound, you're focusing on something that you like. You're taking the control away from tinnitus. You're taking, say, no, I'm gonna focus on what I want, which is really important.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else have a question right now? Otherwise, I'm gonna move to the next question that somebody sent me.
Hi, Guy. I can't, my video isn't set up on this computer, so I can't have a picture, but I think I just started a few days ago with a routine that you recommended. So I
Uh-huh.
think it is it's slightly better, which is good. And I incorporate the sound therapy when I do my stretching. I have to do this warm, it's called a brooder mask on my eyes for dry eyes. So I do it, I listen to the sound therapy then too, which is all kind of nice because the eyes are warm and things. But I think it is starting to help a little bit. But just as I can't remember, is it Patricia? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty new to this, to the program. So yeah, I noticed a little bit of improvement, but then I woke up yesterday because of my sleep is a big thing. And I take a sleeping pill every other night. So yeah, I'm just trying to get the sleep down because sometimes when I wake up, I have a headache and it's so loud. I can't believe it's almost like it's not even worth sleeping. It's so loud. Which anyways, that's all. It's more of a comment, I guess. So
So is your question how to go back to sleep, or why did you
oh, I
wake
guess
up?
it's
I'm
just
sorry.
yeah, just getting the sleep under control. Like I'm taking 1 milligram of melatonin at night. And yeah, the nights I don't have a sleeping pill, it's difficult, yeah, for sleep.
Yeah. So if I'm sorry, John. I'm still not clear if you're asking me about sleep, but if you're asking about sleep, the best way to assure, well, again, it's going to take practice, like we just talked about, but is to practice a relaxation technique in the 30 minutes before sleep. So the 30 minutes before you go to sleep, try to assign that as a wind down, as a one time, sorry, wind down time where you get ready for sleep, and then you can incorporate um, 10, 15 minutes of relaxation technique with sound therapy. And then and then, no screens, try to avoid screens, try to um, just really just kind of relax and set your mind before you go to sleep. And then if you do wake up, let's say at 2 a.m., which is very common. So I just actually created a video about that if you wake up at between 2 to 4 a.m., these are the most common times people wake up and they can't fall asleep, or the tinnitus is so overwhelming that they can't do anything. So the best thing that you can do at that point is there's two different breathing patterns that are really easy to do. And basically there's the 4, 2, and 6. I'm trying to be in the camera here. And there's the 4, 7, 8. The 4, 7, 8 is harder for some people to implement, but what it is, you're breathing for 4 seconds, really deep through your nose. You hold it for 7 seconds, and then you exhale for 8 seconds. Now, I will tell you right now, Some people find this really hard, but this is a sleep doctor recommendation. That breathing pattern really helps your brain go back into sleep. It just really encourages the brain to go back into relaxation and sleep mode. But if that's too hard, you can do the 4-2-6, which is really easy. You just breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and then exhale for 6 seconds. That's much easier. And you do that for a minute or two, and that should do the same thing. It should put your brain into the mode of relaxation and falling back to sleep. And then don't touch the phone if you can. Don't look at the time, don't touch the phone, and just really kind of thinking about, okay, I'm going back to sleep. That has a good chance of working, but again, it would take probably a few times of practicing this to help you. Just like everything else, like we had just explained. That is the best way that I know of. And again, taking magnesium, glycinate, and calcium, sorry, not what am I saying? Magnesium, glycinate, and melatonin under 1 milligram. So 1 milligram or under before you go to sleep in that 30 minutes preparation time would help as well. Yeah, these are the only two supplements that I'm even talking about. Nothing else helps for tinnitus.
Right. Okay. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Was there anything else that you wanted to ask that I didn't answer? I'm sorry.
No, that's it pretty much. I'm doing the things, the sound therapy and relaxation, and I do the magnesium and the melatonin and things like that. So I think it's probably another week or so, maybe. I think I see some slight improvement, but it's hard to tell. It's only been a few
Yes.
days. I'm just
Just
trying
like
to.
you started to see slight improvement in relaxation, which is actually pretty good. Just give it a week or two. All these things you're changing how the brain is working, and it takes some time. Yeah, but it should
Yeah,
work.
yeah, that's the thing I do is the statement that you gave me to read, and I read that a few times a day too, and it kind of helps me refocus and just carry on with other things too. So yeah,
Awesome. That's really good. That's cool.
yeah. Okay, thanks.
So let me pick up another question. You guys can think about then your next question. I'll pick the next question from what people send me. Um, so here's the question. What is the relationship between hyperacusis, which is sound sensitivity, to tinnitus and tinnitus? And how do you treat them together? So this is actually a really good question. Very common. It's pretty common for someone that have tinnitus for a while, especially if it's moderate or severe, to also experience sound sensitivity. That means that normal sounds, like so people that don't have tinnitus or hearing loss, those normal sounds, they sound like normal sound to them, but the same sounds can be overwhelming and very sharp to you. So a very common example is that somebody is gonna drop a dish on the floor, and for them it's just like, okay, a dish fell on the floor, who cares? But for you, it's like a gun just went off, right? Because it's so loud and it's so sharp. Other things, some people, the way that they speak, if they speak very loud, can trigger the same thing. So you can be actually in a public place if you have sound sensitivity, and when people have a conversation, very lively conversation, that can actually trigger sound sensitivity as well, which is pretty, um, it's pretty upsetting because you're trying to be social with people. So the connection between these two is just think of it as the gain dial in your brain. So when your brain has tinnitus, it's connected a lot of time to hearing problems, but it doesn't have to be. But in almost most cases, the brain increases activity in the auditory brain. What that does, it's like you take the volume dial and you turn it up. So think that let's say that the normal level of sound is like a 5, volume is on 5. That's like normal. Because your tinnitus, your brain goes and increase the dial and make it like a 7 or an 8. So sounds which are really normal to everybody else, or when your own tinnitus is calm, you wouldn't even pay attention. But when your tinnitus is more, it's aggravated by something, your brain increases the dial. So every sound now becomes overwhelming and too loud, and it's too much, and you can't handle it. And so this is exactly where hyperacusis comes from. And so this is the connection. The connection is that as a response to tinnitus, your brain increases that gain dial, and that affects how you experience every sound. So some of those sounds are just overwhelming and just too much for you to bear at that moment. And again, this could be really sharp sounds or even people talking. That's the sad part. And then, but here's the really important, the next part of the question the guy was asking, so what can I do about it? And even though I can't even tell you guys how many times I hear from people saying, I stopped being social. I'm avoiding crowds. I'm avoiding going to restaurants or and all these kind of things. And it's very understood. I understand completely where you're coming from, but it's actually it's working against you. And so let me explain. The first thing that you want to do is do those fundamental relaxation things. So um, this really applies to almost any type of tinnitus that you experience. You want to start with that combination of sound, sounds or sound therapy that relaxing you, and it's your choice. Whether you choose music or nature sounds or pink noise, it doesn't really matter as long as it relaxes you. And the volume that you use for the sound therapy is under your tinnitus level. So if you listen to those kind of sounds 5, 10, 15 minutes twice per day. So like you do in the morning, then you do it once in the evening or in the middle of the day, it doesn't matter. Um, that gives your brain something else to focus on. Your brain is used to the tinnitus, but now you're introducing a sound that it can still hear while tinnitus is still going on. So remember, don't mask tinnitus by putting the volume too high. Put it under tinnitus. The reason is that now your brain hears both of them, and your brain is thinking, wait a second, what is that other sound? And by doing that, it's learning to focus on something different. So this is the first layer of the daily relaxation. The second layer is just doing really simple relaxation techniques that I do have on my community, and I'll try to share that quickly here so people can see it. And so if you join my community, which is completely free, this is the community. I showed that at the beginning. There's a classroom section. In the classroom section, you can go to relaxation techniques, and you can see things like just breathing patterns and body scans and PMR and guided relaxation and so on. There's really a bunch of them. And just like sound therapy, it's up to you to choose what you like. Don't force yourself into anything you don't like doing. That's not gonna work well. Just choose, pick the one that works well for you and do it. And now the other part that people don't do well is that they listen to the same sound all the time. So you do not want to do that. You want to change the sound. So in the morning listen to nature sounds, and in the night listen to pink noise. So now that we established what this relaxation technique is, you combine those two and you do it a couple of times a day consistently. It doesn't matter if you have a good day or a bad day, you do it. That will reduce your sound sensitivity because now your brain is learning to listen to other sounds, gentle sounds, slowly, gradually, but you're learning to listen to other sounds, and that helps you go out back to social events or something like that. And then your alertness and your stress go down. And that means that volume dial, the gain dial that we talked about at the beginning, now your brain is reducing it. So the more relaxed and the more desensitized you are for the sounds, basically that sounds are not causing you that reactivity, the more the gradually you will be able to again expose yourself to more and more sounds. So that is the first answer to sound sensitivity and tinnitus, is to apply all those techniques on a daily basis. Because when that gain dial is going to go down, your brain is going to reduce that dial and put it back to where it's supposed to be. Everyday sounds are not going to sound like an explosion. And it's going to, no, this is going to be a gradual progression. Don't expect this to happen overnight, over a couple of days. It's going to take some time. But the more you do it, the more the sensitivity will go down. Um, Isolating yourself away from sounds is not going to help you. It's just going to make your sensitivity um, more pronounced. So the more that you isolate from yourself from sounds, the more any sound is going to become so overwhelming. So that's not what you want to do. Let me go back to my question here. Where's my question? Okay, so did I answer everything about that question? I think so. At this point, John or Patricia, any other questions, or should I just move on? I'll just move on if I don't hear from you.
I'm okay for now, Guy. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
okay. I'll just
Thank you.
listen.
Awesome, awesome. Here's a really good question, actually. And people send me good questions. I'm happy about that. Somebody's asking me, can hearing aids help with tinnitus even if I only have mild hearing loss? And so I have mild hearing loss in the high frequency. I'm trying to condense the question to very simple. So basically, somebody has mild hearing loss, only high frequency loss, and they are asking if hearing aids can help. Great question. And the short answer is yes, and I'll explain why. The reason when people have hearing loss, so remember that tinnitus has so many different causes. It's really important. I should probably put a poster behind me saying this. Tinnitus is just a symptom. This is really important that everybody understand this. It's just a symptom of something else. Tinnitus is never the problem or the disease. It's just a symptom. It's a very annoying symptom, but it's not what's causing a problem. Now, if your tinnitus is caused by hearing loss, which is very common, the way that happens is because your brain is missing sounds. Our range of hearing is from 0 to, I think, around 16 kHz, or is it 16 or 20 or something like that? It's pretty wide. But speech frequencies are only between 0 to 8K, which is why when you get hearing aids, typically they only amplify from 0 to 8K. But your brain still registers the whole range. When you have hearing loss, your brain is trying to say, hey, I'm missing some sounds. I know I need to hear sounds in this range. And again, especially from 0 to 8K. And if I don't hear these sounds, I need to make an effort. I need to work harder so I can hear those sounds. When the brain is doing that, guess what? Like we just talked about, it takes that gain dial and increases it. And when it increases it, it creates a lot of activity, which is translated to the tinnitus sound that you hear. And the tinnitus sound is basically an after effect of the brain working too hard. And this is why stress and lack of sleep are making this worse, because it makes the brain work even harder. So a lot of people that have hearing loss have tinnitus because the brain is in that mode of overactivity. When you use hearing aids, and now the brain is hearing ambient sounds in a normal way. Now the sounds that were missing are amplified by the hearing aids, and your brain is now hearing all those sounds again. So the brain now can reduce that gain control and go back to normal. And when that happens, tinnitus is either going to go down from, again, a number that you experience it to way lower, or if you just, it depends. There's too many variation or variables for me to tell you, but either it goes down a lot or it may disappear. It may just disappear because now the brain has all the sound that it was looking for. Now it hears everything. So this is why hearing aids can absolutely help. Now, there's even more than that. When there's a research, I've done a video on that some time ago. There's a many year of a research is a many year long, sorry, where they found that people that have mild hearing loss and they don't treat it are beginning to have other problems. And I'll try to link to the video that shows you all the information. But not getting, not hearing the sounds the way that you're supposed to hear them pushes the brain into that stressful, overactive mode. And if your brain stays in that mode, basically stress forever, that can cause other problems. So we talked about this at the beginning. It's kind of the same thing. So hearing aids, absolutely a big help, even if you only have mild hearing loss. Yes. Let me take a sip here. Okay, let's take the next question. There's a question here about neuroplasticity, neuromodulation devices, but I'm kind of shying away from that one right now. Oh, here's the question. Oh, that perfect question, really. Actually, a good question, guys. Why is there no cure for tinnitus? That's a pretty fair question, yeah. And as I was just saying, tinnitus is a symptom. So you can't cure a symptom. You have to cure the underlying condition or the cause for the cause for the symptom, right? So really, the answer is very simple. Why there's no cure? Because tinnitus is a symptom, it's not the cause. And the problem is that there are many different reasons or causes for tinnitus. So hearing loss is one of the most common reasons for people to have tinnitus. Yes, that's probably the most known one. But even TMJ issues, injury in your neck and shoulder, stress in those muscles can create tinnitus as well. And I can talk about this for a long time, why this is happening, but we'll save this for a different question. But the point is that TMJ, neck issues, shoulder tension can cause tinnitus as well. If you, God forbid, have cancer, which is attached to the auditory brain, to the auditory system, the nerves, that can cause tinnitus. So the point is, oh, medication. You can even take medication, ibuprofen. You take ibuprofen too much for a long time in high doses, that can create tinnitus. There's actually a list of different medications that is called ototoxic medication. They all damage the hearing mechanism. So that can cause tinnitus. So you can see how, and I can keep talking about there's many different reasons for tinnitus. So to cure tinnitus means that you have to cure all those other things. It's not, tinnitus is just a symptoms. That's why you can't cure it. You have to cure the other causes of the symptoms, not the symptoms, the other causes of the conditions, basically. So that's that answer. Let's see. Here's another question. What is the best strategy for the first 4 to 8 weeks after tinnitus starts? So basically somebody's asking, I just started to have tinnitus like a month or two ago. What is the best thing for me to do right now? So I do have a video that goes through all those different causes. I just talked about you can have tinnitus for so many different causes and reasons. So I do have a video that helps you identify what is the likely cause in your case. If I just started to have tinnitus a month or two ago, the first thing I will do is watch that video because that will help you identify the right identify the cause for your tinnitus, and therefore you'll be able to address it appropriately. If you just guess, if you just start taking supplements because somebody on Facebook said that supplement saved their life, you're not going to get anywhere except of being really frustrated. You really want to identify what is the cause of tinnitus in your case. Each person is completely different. And once you do that, then you either deal with that situation or you start dealing with the symptoms. So if you, for example, you are just experiencing tinnitus because you have hearing loss, you should get hearing aids, obviously, and then start doing the relaxation routines because it's really important to reduce alertness and stress so the brain is not going to amplify every sound and is not going to create tinnitus. The brain is the one that creates tinnitus. This is the part that is mind-boggling, right? That our own brains created this, basically. So if you just started to experience tinnitus, your stress is elevated, your alertness is elevated. So other than identifying what is your cause, applying those relaxation techniques will really help. This is where I would start. And let's see, they have more. Yeah, that's I was just kind of skimming the question to make sure I didn't miss anything, but that's pretty much it. Do we have anyone else? No. Yeah. So I'm going to move on. And that's an interesting question. Okay. Basically, I'm translating the question as I'm saying them, so forgive me for it takes me a little bit of time, but somebody's asking what parts of my lifestyle is important for long-term tinnitus management. So basically, what should I do different the way that I live my life to improve tinnitus management or tinnitus relief, basically. So there's three most common that you're going to hear from anyone, I think, is manage your stress, improve your sleep, and reduce sound exposure that you don't need to be exposed to. And I'll explain that as well. These are probably the three biggest things, right? Because like, as we were saying already in this session, stress amplified tinnitus creates a lot of problems in your body. Stress by itself, even people that don't have tinnitus, if the stress is ongoing, it's a chronic stress, that can create so many different problems, health problems. So reducing stress is number one. Improving sleep. If you don't sleep well, you're going to get stressed. And if you're stressed, you don't sleep well. So it's a cycle. So you definitely want to reduce stress and improve sleep. And then let's talk about sound exposure. So like we just talked about, for example, for people that have sound sensitivity, you don't want to, you don't need to shy away from normal sounds. That's not the point. You should be social and you should expose yourself to normal sounds. But if you happen to be next to a construction site, let's say that you walk next to a construction site and it's blaring for hours, like really loud, there's no point for you to be exposed to that. So just put earplugs. Protect yourself from the sounds that you don't need to hear. Um, Another example is if you go to a concert. You go to a concert and you want to enjoy the music or whatever that you're going to enjoy, and that's perfect. That's really good. But you can put earplugs that are designed for music and for live events, and they will just block the the damaging part of the sound, the extreme sound. So there are different brands that are good for this. The one that I think many people know are the Loop earbuds or earplugs. Um, you can just put in and they block the the more damaging part of the sound. So you can still go to the event, enjoy the event, enjoy the music, whatever you're seeing, whatever you're experiencing, but just protect yourself so you don't get exposed to really loud sounds for 5 hours because that's not going to help you for sure. And the other part, just like everything else, like when people ask, how can I keep my heart healthy or how can I keep my brain healthy? You know, the most common answer you hear, and it's not different for tinnitus, it's just general health, good food, fresh food, exercise, all these things will help you because they will support your body, right? If your body is healthier and stronger, everything becomes better. And there are, one of the reasons for tinnitus is actually blood pressure. High blood pressure can cause tinnitus. So taking care of your cardiovascular health, exercise, eating well helps that, which prevent this problem. So in general, just keep yourself healthy. But the three big things is the stress, sleep, and sound exposure. Um, okay. John and Patricia, just raise your hand or say something if you want to ask something else. If not, I'm just going to continue. Let's see. How can someone know when the tinnitus is from ear damage, pressure? Oh, that's an interesting question. Okay. So somebody's asking, so if you have tinnitus for a while, and if you have moderate to severe tinnitus, you probably have multiple sounds and you probably have fluctuating sounds. So it's not just like a static sound that is always the same. It may fluctuate, may go up and down in frequency. Uh, okay, volume is because of stress, but frequency can change. You may experience different kinds of sound. So what they are asking in this question is what is the cause or the source for those different sounds? So I'm going to try and answer it, but I'm going to keep it very general uh, because this is, um, it's very generalized. So, for example, when people have high pitch ringing or hissing, that's typically connected to high frequency hearing loss. So when you're missing those high frequency, your hearing loss is just exactly in that range. Typically, people hear that high pitch ringing and hissing sound. But okay, I'll finish this with a disclaimer. If you have static sounds, like electrical static, like shh sounds, um, that's typically connected to auditory nerve problems or irritation. Let's say that your auditory nerve is irritated or overactive, which is exactly why you have tinnitus, that can cause those static sounds. Now, there's a condition. Okay, I'm going to talk about the last one he's asking at the end here. If you are lucky, like myself, there's also a condition which is called TTTS, which is, I can't remember the whole freaking name right now. It's a tonic tensor tympani syndrome, something like that. Basically, muscles in your middle ear are twitching. Just like your eyes can twitch, sometimes, you can see your eye twitch, you can feel it, it makes you crazy. Believe it or not, muscles in the middle ear can twitch the same way. And when they do that, they create all kinds of sensations and sounds. So if you literally feel like your middle ear moving like a drum, and typically it's going to be fast moving. It's going to be fast. It's not going to be slow. It's going to be fast, and it's going to be completely unrelated to your heartbeat. So it's not mirroring your heartbeats. That's probably what's going on. Um, and that condition is typically from being stressed or being not sleeping well is what's causing those muscles to twitch inside your middle ear. There's two there's two muscles that are very known to do that. Again, tympani is one of them. The other one is I forget the names right now. I'm sorry, but there's another muscle that are typically creating this problem. So if you experience those kind of movements and fluttering sensation, that can also cause your ear to feel full and pressured. This could be a reason for that. What's the other thing that he's asking about? Now, there's one situation that is definitely, it could be a warning sign. And no, but before I jump to that, I want to say that all these connection between the type of sound and what the source is are really generalized based on research that some teams have made, but it's generalized. I really want to emphasize that each one of us experience tinnitus differently. We can be um, having the same, hearing loss, just hearing loss. Let's say that somebody is healthy completely and they just have hearing loss. Two people have hearing loss. One of them can experience tinnitus very loud and overwhelming, and the other one can experience tinnitus very mild and not something that they can ignore pretty easily. It's because there are other things going on. So when I give those kind of answers, please remember, each of us is different. Our tinnitus is really as unique as we are. This is why working with people one-on-one, when your situation is, when your tinnitus is either moderate, severe, or complicated with different things going on, this is where one-on-one work is really the best work, because the coach is fine-tuning everything they do to your specific situation. So now that I said the disclaimer, let me just talk about one last condition um, that is called pulsatile tinnitus. Pulsatile tinnitus is where you basically experience pulsing sounds which are actually related to your heartbeat. So if you're at rest and your heartbeat is like just going like slow, like once every second for a second, for example, sorry, that pulsatile tinnitus will be the same. And if you accelerate your heartbeat by running, jumping, whatever, you will see that pulsatile tinnitus is accelerating with you. That means if this is actually a good way to test if you have pulsatile tinnitus, by the way. You hear the pulses and you're not sure what it is, you can pay attention to them at rest and pay attention to them after exercise or after you were doing something that will accelerate your heartbeat. And if the pulsatile tinnitus changes with you, that that kind of confirmed it's a pulsatile tinnitus. In that case, you really should go and see an ENT just to rule out complication with blood vessels around your ear and around your head, basically. It does not mean you have anything, but you should really be seen just to rule out those conditions. Um, so if this happens to you and you can confirm it by testing it in rest and after exercise, then my recommendation is go see an ENT, check exactly what's going on, rule out anything serious, and then work on relaxation and all that kind of stuff. So I think I answered all the this question, like what he was asking me here. I think so. I believe so. I'm going to do one last question, and then my voice is beginning to be. Let's see. Why? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. People send some good questions here. Okay. Why do some people suffer much more than others with the same level of hearing loss or tinnitus, which I just talked about? So this is exactly what I was saying before. Let's say that we have two people and they have exactly the same physical condition. Let's assume that they have exactly the same physical condition. However, and this is a big thing about tinnitus relief, they respond to the sound differently. So, for example, let's say that I'm person A now, the first person, I hear tinnitus, it's there, it's making me crazy sometimes, right? It's really annoying, but it doesn't get me too stressed. I'm like, okay, I know what it is. Actually, by the way, a really good thing to do when you have tinnitus, especially at the beginning, is to understand why. This is why you really want to understand what is the cause of tinnitus in your case. Because when you understand what's happening, you become less stressed. When you don't know what's happening, it's really scary, right? What is going on? Why am I having this sound? Why is it stressing me? It's really scary. But the more you understand what's happening, that's your first way to relax, I think. That's number one. So let's say that I do understand what's going on. I am aware. I let's say I started to treat it with, let's say in my case, hearing aids and some relaxation techniques, and I'm okay with this. I'm not obviously nobody enjoys tinnitus, but I'm not. I'm okay. I'm not getting too stressed about it. I'm not too scared about it. And let's say that subjectively, I would label it as a 3 or 4. So it's there, it's annoying, but I can still walk, focus, be social and everything else. The same person B that have the same physical conditions like me, exactly the same, let's say the same level of hearing loss or something like that, and it's the same exactly, but let's say that they just started experiencing tinnitus and they have no idea what's going on. They are really stressed. They are scared. They don't know what the hell is going on. What is this sound? What is going on? They really start thinking really bad things. They are very worried. Again, what's happening? The brain, the gain level, the normal gain level, let's say, is it whatever normal is, let's say it's 5. And now they are completely overwhelmed. They are really stressed. The brain takes this gain and just make it like go up to like 8. Now the same level of tinnitus that they experience become completely overwhelming, even though it's the same condition and most likely the same level of tinnitus. But because the brain increases that gain so much, it's completely overwhelming. And they are like on the verge of just breaking down. They don't know what to do. and they can't focus, they can't sleep, they can't do anything. So this is exactly the reason, is the respond that your brain has, your nervous system and your brain have to your symptoms. If the response is extreme, you experience extreme. And, and this is exactly why the first thing that you want to do is understand your tinnitus and reduce alertness and stress levels. When you do that, the brain is going to take this down and put it back down, and then your symptoms are going to be normal, and you can plan what to do next. But in that state, when everything is like so overwhelming, people can't do anything. They can't help themselves because they're just completely overwhelmed. And the tinnitus is just, the sound is just like, they can't deal with this. It's just too much for them. So this is the reason. It's that respond to the sound, not the sound itself. And then you will see, if you work with someone, and if you work with me, if you work with people that actually understand tinnitus and not just giving you supplements or magic solutions, you will see that what they are going to work on is your response to tinnitus and not the sound itself. You don't fix the sound itself, you fix how you respond to it. I think it's a good way to finish this is to talk about how your brain can filter sounds and even filter other senses, which is kind of scary. If you think about in normal situation, okay? In normal situation, if you're in the kitchen, you don't pay attention to the refrigerator. You don't hear it. You literally don't hear it unless you really pay attention to it. If you really pay attention to it and get close to it, oh yeah, I can hear the refrigerator. But if you're focused on something, if you're just making breakfast, you don't hear the refrigerator. Why? Because your brain already categorized that sound as unimportant. And when your brain learn that that sound is unimportant, it literally filters it out of your consciousness. So the sound disappears. The same thing with your breathing sound. You don't hear yourself. You don't go through days and hearing yourself breathing all the time, right? Unless you're sick or unless you're coughing or sneezing or have sinus problems. But in normal situation, you don't hear your own breathing. It's the same thing. Your brain understands that sound. It knows that it only needs to pay attention when something out of the ordinary happens, like you're choking, you're coughing, you're sick. Then you pay attention. Otherwise, you don't pay attention to your own breathing sound. You just don't hear it all day. It's the same thing. Your brain says, okay, if everything is normal, I can literally filter this sound out. So this is, in a few sentences, the solution to your tinnitus is learn to filter it out from your consciousness. Now, I know it's easier said to done. It's easier to say it than do it. But this is exactly what people that really understand tinnitus will help you do. They will help you with tools, with techniques. They will help you filter that sound out of your consciousness. That's the solution. That's what tinnitus relief is, the true tinnitus relief. So I think I answered this question. Let's see. Yeah, I answered this question. I think. Yeah. And the people that send me those questions, they know who they are. If I didn't answer something that you still want to know, just send me what else you would like me to talk about. So again, guys, I do these every 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, the end of the year is probably going to be a little bit different because it's Christmas and holidays and stuff. But I do these every two to 3 weeks. People either join, like people join today, or I just collect all the questions that you guys send me through the community on YouTube, and I just answer them. If you want to work with me, and actually, first of all, if you want me to help you identify your tinnitus cause and what would be the best way for you to get relief, just schedule in the description below. I will have a link that will allow you to schedule a free consultation with me where I will try to help you identify the tinnitus cause and create a plan for you to get relief as quickly as possible. This is completely free. If you want to work with me to get relief as quickly as possible, then it's a completely a choice thing, and I can give you more information. If you want to join the community and get more information from there, I will put a link in the description below, and the same thing for my YouTube channel, but you're probably seeing this on YouTube, so I don't need to do that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Patricia and John, for joining us. And I really hope this was helpful for at least some people. And I'll see you next time.
Okay, thanks, Guy.